I hope it actually works this time, because last time I recorded it and then it saved as some weird file, so I couldn't upload it to the YouTube channel. Okay, so we'll do intros. So name your major as usual, and then we're just going to do weekly highs because this meeting is probably going to be a little bit depressing already. So, and then if you can, let me know what your suggestion is for our Netflix party. It can be like a TV show episode or a movie or anything really. So I can go first. My name is Lucia. I'm a junior studying neuroscience, and weekly high is... Why do I not think of what my answer would be? Weekly high is I've been making small things. This is a little watering can, and this is a little shovel.
Do you have any suggestions for the Netflix party?
I don't know. We were talking about watching The Truman Show. Oh. I've been meaning to watch that movie, yes. So maybe that one.
Have you never seen it?
No.
Oh, we should do that.
Watch it. I'm Tia. I'm a junior in political science. My weekly high, I guess I'm looking forward to the weekend because I've got some fun stuff planned. And yeah, my suggestion for the Netflix party, thank you for bringing it up, would be The Truman Show.
Anyone can go next.
I can go next. I'll turn my camera on in a second. I'm eating right now. Okay. I'm Angie. I'm a freshman studying poli-sci. And my weekly high, I don't know, I get paid tomorrow. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
And suggestion for Netflix party, I couldn't tell you, but Truman Show sounds good. I'm cool with that.
Good to know.
I can go next. I'm Yara. I'm an 8th grader at WCMS, and my weekly high is that I have a 4-day weekend, so that's pretty cool. And my suggestion, I really like The Truman Show.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I guess everyone is on the same page about that.
I can go next. Hi, I'm Kent. I'm a 5th year senior studying business and PPE with a community action social change minor. Weekly high, I swam in NCRB and CCRB last week, which was the first time I ever swam in pool. Also the first time I swam in like 4 years. So it was good to know that I can swim.
Nice.
So suggestion for Netflix party. Oh, there was a nice show I've been watching called Dirty Money on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
It's about all these different ways people have been trying to scam, like maple syrup and like payday loans and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of episodes of that show. It's pretty good. Do you have a specific episode you would recommend?
I'm still watching it, so maybe a show maybe episode I haven't watched yet. I'm assuming they're all pretty good because they're really well researched.
Yeah, definitely. Nice.
Hello, I'm Jefferson. What are we supposed to say? Oh, weekly high, definitely Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh yeah, I forgot we're doing that.
Let's see what else. Oh, movie suggestion: Godzilla versus Kong. That would be good. Life of Pi, though, actually, that's a really good movie.
I don't think we can illegally stream Godzilla versus Kong like a week after it comes out, but
dude, I'll record it in theaters.
Don't be that guy.
For my personal viewing pleasure.
Sorry,
You know that's a crime.
I'm not gonna allow that.
Jaywalking's a crime too.
Okay. Yeah.
You win this one.
All right. So, big questions today are like, what is the meaning of life essentially? And if there is no meaning, like, what do we do about it? So, what are you guys' like initial thoughts on what you think the meaning of our lives are, and like what the meaning of like your life personally is?
Is it like the evolutionary purpose of life or
You
personal?
could say that is a purpose, yeah.
Well, then wouldn't it
Is
just
that what
be?
gives your life meaning? The fact that you're like, if you have
Well,
kids.
not really. I think we've progressed past enough to where like we have
Mhm.
our population's so high that technically it'd be better if we stopped having children
Yeah,
or as many.
and we're not saying that people who like don't decide to have kids have meaningless lives, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I don't know. That's tough.
I think Yara's looking at it more holistically, I guess, because it's just like the meaning of like, I don't know, it's like my own life. Like, are we talking about like how? I don't know. I don't know what gives my life meaning, bro. I don't think anything does, cause like
That's kind of twisted.
Wait, so Angie, are you saying your life is meaningless?
I mean, like to a certain extent, yes.
Okay, that's
Like,
fair.
I just wanna, because if you take away like this whole like purpose or whatever, you're allowed to have more fun, right? Because you're like doing your own thing.
I think it might depend. Like, not everyone is gonna be like liberated by the fact that there is no set meaning.
So I guess I would say that for me personally, I would find it more liberating to have no meaning.
Okay. So, but you do think there is no like intrinsic meaning to our lives?
No, I think it's just like, because like, I don't know. I think about it as just like it just happened. It was like a coincidence that we were created. So it was just like, okay, what do we do from here? You know,
Mm-hmm. So, what do we do from here then?
have a good time. I don't know, like
So, like, you think like having a good time is what gives your life meaning?
yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Because I was gonna be like, there are other like burdening fucking aspect. Oh, there are other. Okay. We are held back by the shackles of capitalism, essentially. But to me, it doesn't mean anything to like be like a functioning member of society, in my opinion. Like I personally don't find meaning in that.
Okay.
Although I did say that I do get paid tomorrow as my weekly high, so maybe maybe I'm all over the place. Huh?
Okay, we can talk about that more a little bit later. Definitely.
Okay.
Does anyone have any other thoughts? Do we
I
have
think
any
that
religious people here? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, go ahead, kid.
Well, I thought that the meaning of life was always 42. Um, but that's just a reference from Hitchhiker to a Galaxy. But from a more real, I guess, more serious answer, I mean, I'm not particularly religious. and I kind of inspected the arguments and didn't really find them particularly convincing. But I think that like I think nihilism is probably pretty accurate, but I think that nihilism has a very has a negative connotation to it, or at least a depressing. I guess it can have a depressing connotation. So I think I would probably lean towards like an optimistic nihilist, like that kind of, what is it like? What is it? Existence precedes essence.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Don't get too ahead of it. But yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think I also have a similar opinion. Like, I think when I was a little bit younger, I was like more nihilistic, but now I feel like more of an existentialist, but we'll go into that in a second. But like before we do, does anybody else have any other thoughts or want to agree with anybody?
I think kind of like going along what everyone else said. I don't think our lives, like as a collective concept, has any meaning. But personally, I believe what gives my life meaning is just trying to get as many life experiences as possible, just doing new things. Yeah. But yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, that does not really matter.
I don't really understand what it means to have a meaning in life. Like, what does that mean? Like a purpose? I mean, that's like asking, like, what's the meaning of a tree, right? Like, there's no meaning. Like, what does that mean?
Well, life isn't really like a tree.
A tree? What do you mean?
Well, life is more like an experience, whereas a tree is just a thing. It's like a little bit different in the sense that like you can say like what do certain abstract ideas mean versus like what does any object mean. Like obviously no object has like a meaning, but it could have a purpose. Some people think that what gives our life meaning is that there is a set purpose, but I'm not sure. Like my interpretation of the question is more like what the point is. I don't know if that's like clearer or not, but like what is the point of life?
I mean, the point of something is related to its purpose, right?
Basically.
In a way, but I think the word purpose like implies that it's like already set for some reason. I don't know, maybe not everybody thinks that, but like when I hear the word purpose, it feels like not the right word to use. But I guess you could say, yeah. So what do you think, Jefferson?
Well, I mean, I guess that means I think there's no meaning because it just makes sense for it to have a meaning.
So do you think your life personally has meaning? Like, have you assigned it a meaning in a way, or?
Not really.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't really know what that means.
Okay. Freak. Oh my god, I put this picture into the slides like a million times. You guys can see it in the little thing, right? But okay, well anyway, I'm just gonna search it. Babies first. There we go. Okay, I was just trying to prove that like there are a lot of different answers to this question. Okay. And this like may or may not be completely accurate. I did not read through it, but essentially we have like, we start here and it's like, do you think that there is meaning or not? And like what Angie was saying sounds very Epicurean to me. It sounds like get as much pleasure as you possibly can. I don't know if Angie does actually think that, but
I think I would agree. Like ideally, yeah.
okay, so somebody like, let's say, I guess this ties into like the whole like experience machine question. Did we ever talk about that?
We mentioned it, I think, last semester, right?
Okay, wait, Angie, do you remember the experience machine?
Experience machine.
Like you
No, I
can
don't-
get plugged into the computer and it will just like simulate your ideal life for you.
Okay.
Would you do it?
So like, would you do it or no? Because like maybe like I personally would plug in theory, but like I feel like there is a pretty compelling point to say like plugging in would like kind of give your life less meaning in a way, because you're not like really doing
Really there. Yeah.
But from an Epicurean standpoint, it sounds more like that would be more than ideal for, because like your actual life is not going to have as much pleasure as whatever the machine can simulate for you, right?
Yeah. But isn't there like, I don't know. I feel like there could be more pleasure in just the fact that it's like you actually living the real life. Like I feel like it would just get boring, or like it would just be like kind of just, I don't know. I don't like the thought of having to be plugged into a simulation in order to live whatever life I want to live, you know?
Sounds
Mhm.
like that life would be meaningless. Would you not agree?
Oh my God.
I don't think like you actually think that life is just about pleasure then, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some other element. So like you can go the meaning route possibly, and like you can get it from religion or from like there are also existentialists that do believe in God, just that like God did not assign the purpose to us. Or we can go the whole nihilism route, or like go with other philosophies like the ones down here under the peace. And yeah, this is just like a big summary of all the possible answers that people have come up with. I don't know if any of those are compelling at all, but okay, so the main three ones I want to talk about were essentialism, existentialism, and then nihilism. Essentialism is the idea, like as Kent mentioned like a couple minutes ago, everything has, or like existence precedes essence is a like response to essentialism, that by Plato and Aristotle. They like said that everything has a purpose. So like just like a knife's purpose is to cut things, and like you can like change the handle or whatever, but like as long as it still cuts things, it has like the essence of what a knife is. And so they thought that you could also theorize the same for people, and therefore we have some kind of essence, and like in the world of forms or whatever, there would be some perfect version of what a person is, and then that would be like what our purpose is essentially. And then with existentialism, there is no predetermined purpose, but then we can actually create something that will give your life meaning. So like you can use your own like thinking and morality and all that to like come up with some meaningful purpose. And then with nihilism, It's just saying that like the reality is that there is no meaning. So if you actually accept that, then you could conclude that it's pointless to construct any meaning in the first place. So any thoughts on this stuff? I think we're like all in agreement pretty much, as far as I can tell, that essentialism sounds kind of wrong. It seems weird to think that like all of us like live our lives to serve like a single purpose when everybody is like really different. So do you guys think there is like a purpose to constructing meaning, or like is it like worth it to try to construct some meaning out of your life, or is it better to just accept that there is no meaning?
Maybe it would just depend on the person. I don't know, because the way that I see essentialism, I kind of I don't know why I connected it to like the idea of like predeterminism, because it's like we're all created to just have a purpose, but like even though we don't necessarily know what the purpose is, we still would perform it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think both of these ideas are very like religious-y, like they sound,
Yeah.
they would be something in that realm, but like I don't think that Plato and Aristotle were saying that everything is predetermined. Like the point of this is just that like people are the same as objects like knives in a way, because we all like have some kind of like essential element to us that allows us to do what we're like meant to do, which could be like as simple as like what Yara was talking about with like evolution and stuff, or it could be whatever, like we could just come up with some essence of what it means to be a human.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, it doesn't make much sense to compare like humans to like knives in the sense of like I mean like with regards to purpose, because we created knives for the specific purpose of cutting.
Yeah.
You know? Like
yeah. This is why I kind of feel like essentialism is very like religious type stuff, because like you can only, or the only way I can think of for us to have a predetermined purpose is if we were created with a purpose in mind, it seems like, right?
yeah.
And if you reject the idea of a creator, then it wouldn't make sense to think that there's a predetermined purpose. Unless
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be like a purpose that we can like possibly identify like as like a in like a total sense, I guess, for humans, right? Because the only one that I can think of is the one that Yara brought up, which is just like procreation.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why are we even doing that in the first place? To like keep the human race going, you know, or the human
And like,
species.
why should we keep the human race going? Also, like that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like that we don't know the reason why, you know. So like I don't know. I think I'm just back to your first question about like trying to construct a purpose.
Mhm.
Isn't that kind of optimistic nihilism? I don't understand the difference between optimistic nihilism and existentialism.
Yeah, so I think optimistic nihilism is like not an official term. To me, optimistic nihilism sounds exactly like absurdism, which I'll get to on another slide, and it's like directly related to existentialism. So I feel like it was just like a way of framing it in a way that's like if you're a nihilist, you should think about like not being just sad. But yeah, but like in a way, any meaning you do assign is also meaningless at its core, right?
Because you just kind of created it to cope or something.
Yeah, which is what makes this interesting, because like if you think about it for longer, it just feels like the correct conclusion is that nihilism is true, and like existentialism is just like a way of coping, just like religion is, right? But I'm not sure.
No, I completely agree with you. Because I don't know, maybe I just haven't found my purpose, but damn, every single time I like try to find my purpose, I'm like, is this actually my purpose? And then it's like, no.
I mean, you get to do whatever you want, and you can say it's your purpose if you want.
I guess so. I mean, that was my conclusion. It's kind of hard to think about, because like it's too abstract for me to like try and comprehend, or like the whole idea of like giving yourself the purpose. And also, especially because I have so many like contradicting ideas, because I like a couple meetings ago I was talking about predeterminism as a way to cope. And how like that's my go-to with being spiritual and everything, but now I'm like, I don't know.
It's very strange. But like I think where it gets confusing is we're like very aware of what we as people want out of life, whereas like we think of, or at least I think of animals as just like doing whatever they're like programmed to do, right? So it might feel like their purpose is to just like procreate, like Yara was talking about. Like with some animals, they literally are born and their whole life is just like all their resources are just like dedicated to them mating and then eventually dying, just so it's just like a cycle of like, oh, I need to mate and then have children and then death, right? But with humans it's a little bit more complicated, because we can like choose to not have children like a lot of the time, and we do a lot of other things that don't just like serve our like animalistic needs.
I think like my biggest problem with existentialism, or not essentialism, is that like it like we have to it kind of is probably in conflict with evolution, because if evolution is true, which I assume that is true, um, then we'll run into two situations. Um, either like we evolved from, let's say, unequivocally, we evolved from like single like multicellular organisms. Then either we then humans have, if essentialism is true, then humans have a meaning, and also multicellular organisms have a meaning as well. And those are I don't think a lot of us would describe that to be accurate. Or that's one situation, or there's some juncture at which that's the only humans are the ones who have it, which means we have to figure out at what point in the past there's a very clear separation at which humans have meaning but other animals do not, like primates. So like, are we cutting the cutoff at primates, or what? or is it the thing that just because like we have consciousness? And I think that this kind of runs into the same issue with like morality. And it's that like morality doesn't really exist for things that don't have consciousness. Like you don't really talk about like what is the moral thing for a rock to do, or what is the moral thing for an ant to do. You know, and and if you're by yourself on an island, what is the moral thing to do? It doesn't really work unless you're interacting with something that also has a consciousness. So I think that that's kind of like the primary issue here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I like have not read Plato's like whole thing on essentialism, but I feel like I don't know. I think because evolution is something that like they could not have known about, it would be hard for them to like control for that. But I think you could maybe say that like the meaning can change over like generations. Like I think the idea is we can assign whatever we want to anything at any period in time. But yeah, I still also don't see how essentialism would be correct. Because like if something has a purpose, it only has a purpose because someone assigned the purpose, I think.
I was just thinking about like how a lot of people say like our purpose is like kind of like to help other people and like make a difference, I guess, which is kind of related. And I mean, like naturally, people aren't really happy with like materialistic things. And you just heard so many people say how they found like happiness in giving to others and through that. So like maybe naturally we have a tendency to do that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I feel like, okay, so you're saying that like because a lot of people find a lot of fulfillment in helping other people, it seems like that might be like part of their purpose. But like, do you think this also applies to people that like don't like helping other people?
I'm not sure. I just feel like people who help other people are happier than those who don't. And I feel like you just see that through so many people who have talked about what they've learned through their life. And like even those like celebrities who are like rich and famous, like so many of them say like it doesn't make them happier and like you should give rather than try to get more money, you know?
Yeah. So sorry, I'm like asking you so many questions.
No,
but like if it's like it sounds like you're linking a lot of that meaning to like what makes people happy. So could it possibly just be that like your purpose is to just be happy?
yeah, I guess so. Like yes, and I feel like naturally for a lot of people, it just happens that like giving is usually more meaningful to them than like trying to get rich or famous. Like you just see that pattern everywhere. So it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like nihilism and existentialism are pretty compatible. Maybe I just can't imagine that, like, you could realize that it is pointless to construct meaning, but that does not mean that you choose to not construct meaning, you know? It's like pointless, but you might as well like wake up for some reason, even though even if it's not a long-term purpose.
I think where the like conflict arises is like nihilism like accepts that there's no point in like constructing the meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So like what is the point of doing anything then? And shouldn't your actions, like usually we want our actions to have a point to them. So if you act like your actions have a point to them, then you're like not being a nihilism. You're not being a nihilist. You're just like using that to cope, or like you're ignoring the fact that what you do is meaningless.
All right, yeah.
Which is why, like, I don't know, I feel like I keep thinking about it and then like going between the two, because like in practice, I think it's like not possible to act like a nihilist unless you like are absolutely devastated by just like existing. Because then like nihilism puts you in a position where like you can't do anything. Like even if you kill yourself, it's like, well, there wasn't any point in doing that also. Like even your feelings themselves don't have meaning. So like you're just like in a state of like, if you act, then you're acting like you're not a nihilist.
Yeah.
And like also, what is the point of even like theorizing what your meaning is anyway? So it just like is a whole circle of what is going on.
I definitely like was not well aware of existentialism as a separate branch before, even though I knew about absurdism, but I feel like it's a lot more compelling than nihilism right now. Yeah, I just can't, I feel like if I were a nihilist, I'd probably just like stop eating or something. There is no point.
It's just like, I think in a way our like psychology exists to like keep us from thinking, from like actually thinking like that. So it's like not in anybody's interest in the first place. And also like even if you do think like at its core nothing has meaning, like in practice it doesn't like work out, because no matter what you do you're still gonna have like wants and feelings and stuff, and that's just like a part of existing, even if you think your existence doesn't mean anything.
So
But-
what is absurdism? Because I always thought nihilism is just that first sentence, and then if you add the second part, that makes it absurdism.
Okay, yeah. I'm like not the like expert on this, to be honest, but like my understanding is like the whole absurd idea is like we want meaning, so we search for meaning even though we like have already accepted that there are no meanings. So like looking into the absurd is just like trying to search for answers even though there aren't answers, and we rebel against the idea that everything is meaningless by searching for meaning. Does that make a little more sense? So like we were talking before, it seems like nihilism kind of doesn't make sense, because like no matter what, we're gonna search for meaning, right? So the absurd is just like the answer to that by saying like, even though there aren't any answers, you can rebel against that by just searching for answers anyway.
Do they believe you'll ever find any? Or
I think yes. At least with existentialism, with Sartre or Sartre or however you want to say it, like I think his whole thing was like, we have so much freedom to like do whatever we want, and like it's like the point is just to like figure out our own meaning by ourselves. So like he hates when people like rely on other like ideas that other people have come up with, or just like following whatever you were taught to like say what you should do in life. Like for example, like I think Sartre is an atheist, and he was like, you shouldn't like rely on the morals that whatever religion taught you, because that's like you acting in bad faith. So like the whole idea is like you shouldn't just act in the interest of like whatever people told you to do. Like you have to like come up with that meaning by yourself. And we are also like condemned in a way because we can do anything we want pretty much. Like we have the freedom to like make up our own moral code, and that is hard, but like that is what we have to do in a sense. But there also are like theist existentialists. I have not read any of them because I don't think the existence of God is like relevant, because even the theist existentialists also say like that God didn't create us with a purpose in mind. So like then like what's the point in God anyway?
Yeah. I think I definitely believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think in a way it's kind of a cheat in that like it is just still like a coping mechanism in a way, but I think it works. I think. But I want to go back to what Angie and Juliana were talking about with like happiness or like pleasure being what is meaningful. Do you guys have any more thoughts on that? I think it's a interesting idea.
I feel like there's a difference between like happiness and like fulfillment, because like if you're happy all the time, it's not as, I guess it like goes down, I guess, because I know there's this thing like where if you go through like obstacles and challenges, like that ultimately makes you like happier, I guess, or like fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's my input on that.
Yeah, I think I remember in bioethics we talked about like what it means to live a good life a lot, and I don't like remember the exact words we use, but like there are different like levels of happiness where like it's not necessarily just like immediate pleasure that gives us happiness, but also like more like global things. So like stuff that fulfills your like long-term goals, for instance, will like give you happiness, because like that just like is a heavier kind of happiness than just like eating. So I think that definitely makes sense. But also like what is the point of fulfilling those goals? It seems like those goals only have meaning because you said they have meaning, right? And like why should we try to like seek that kind of happiness? It seems like that's kind of like an empty want, because like you just want it because you want it, and I don't think that means that there's some meaning behind it necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know if this is too contradictory.
Yeah,
but, like,
go ahead.
I believe in existentialism, but the purpose that I would create for myself, my answer could be something essentialist or Aristotelian. Like, I need to develop my full capacities as an individual. Which is like, it's so strange because it's like it is kind of like a cheat. You recognize that yes, this is not really the purpose, but it's what I choose to live by. I don't know.
Yeah, and you choose to live by that, accepting the fact that it doesn't mean anything that you chose.
It just like makes me more successful in my life right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's why it's so appealing to, like, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but that's why like existentialism and absurdism is the most appealing, right? Because it's like, okay, yeah, nothing has meaning. So like you could just make up your own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I like, regardless of whether like it's a cheat or not. Like, what's the problem with cheating your way out? Especially with something that's so like personal. Like, it's not, I don't know. I personally don't see anything wrong with it, but I was gonna say that, to me at least, happiness or fulfillment is like the root of any purpose, right? You seek out your purpose so that you can feel fulfilled. So in my opinion, I will go back to say that the meaning of life is just maximizing pleasure or minimizing pain or whatever you want to call it. Because it's literally like, regardless of the purpose, to me at least, I think that it makes you a happier person, and thus is,
Okay. So then, okay, let me just, okay, I'm thinking about so many things right now. So like, let's say though that like you can somehow like graph your happiness in a way. Like, what about like a graph that like starts low and then gets really high versus a graph that starts high but gets really low? But if you integrate, the area under the curve is equal in both graphs.
We're not doing integrals.
Well, just think about it, man. Like, which one is better? I think all of us would say that like starting low but
Going up,
ending high is better, right? But then that's
yeah,
not maximizing happiness or minimizing sadness, right? Then what's causing that to be better?
Wait, can you repeat that? I'm so sorry.
Like, you can think about the amount of happiness as just like the total happiness you have had in your life at any point.
Okay.
So that's why we were talking about the integrals. But if I had to define maximizing happiness, my understanding of it is arriving at a point that is higher, regardless of the area.
Yeah. That's maximizing happiness, because if you start out really high, you're not going to view yourself as maximum happy. You're going to think that there's more, right? So you're going to try to achieve more. If you go down, then you're in pain, because even though like in the grand scheme of things, you're still on the happy scale, to you, you're in pain.
Okay, so I accept the whole positive slope thing, but like it can't just be the end point that matters.
Maybe, but like, I don't know, it's just so funny we went from integrals to derivatives.
I love calculus. That's my purpose.
But like I don't think necessarily, like, because you can't like quantify happiness, this is maybe like a weird way to talk about it, but just because you're like maximizing your pleasure does not necessarily mean that you had the most fulfilling life. Like, for example, if you have a curve that like is super low but then gets high at the very end, like maybe that is super fulfilling because like all of that like led up to something, right? But a maximum happy life, like you said before, could have started high and then stayed high also. But like that doesn't seem as fulfilling, even though it has like objectively more happiness.
I think it's like where it's people want to like go up and down, so it doesn't like start low and then like increasingly go up. It's like, I guess I was thinking when you were saying like it starts low and then it gets up like at the end, that how that's not really what people would consider a fulfilling life. Like that's what a lot of people do when they like work for like 30 years in a job they hate, but they make the money and they're thinking about like how happy they'll be when they retire. So that's kind of what they're going for. but like I wouldn't want to do that. Like I wouldn't want to waste so many years of my life just for like to be happy and when I'm like old or something like that. And I feel like your like struggles and like getting through them and also like working hard to achieve your goals, like that's what gives you fulfillment, and you're not gonna be like always happy through that. So it's more like a graph that like goes up and dips down, but like it doesn't like stay down too long or stay like high too long.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I think though, like my point in bringing all that up is like, I'm not sure like happiness should be like the end goal. I don't think like just because we strive for happiness, that doesn't mean that that is a purpose that is intrinsic in all of us. Like just because something makes us happy doesn't mean that it's our purpose, if that makes sense. Like I guess you can, like when you assign your meaning, you use your happiness to like inform your decision, but I think like your meaning is ultimately what you decide to do rather than like the fact that you are happy when you do that.
Yeah, I feel like happiness would be a byproduct of achieving whatever you think your goal or
Yeah.
meaning is. For that reason, maybe I don't know if just like the hedonism that Andrew was kind of talking about, just like maximize happiness. If there is no purpose tied to it and you see no point in it, is that in a way nihilism?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
think what a lot of nihilists think, I'm not sure if this is like at the core of the belief system, but like a lot of them think like that also like trying to get to that like hedonistic state is also meaningless, and like you're just like being a bad nihilist if you want to be happy all the time. It's like you're avoiding your problems, and Nietzsche hates that.
Nietzsche's a pretty interesting dude.
is kind of, I used to like think he was super good, but now I feel like he's a little bit too like intense,
Edgy, yeah.
like just because everything is meaningless doesn't mean you have to like go into that state of like, I'm gonna think about how meaningless everything is every time I do anything. But yeah, so why is my mom calling me? No. Go away. What? My screen sharing? Okay. Oh, then I was just gonna be worried. Wait, can you just like read the slide?
Yeah, here. Okay. So if there's like no reason for anything and life is just meaningless, including like rules and fairness, because Nietzsche actually like made a whole analysis of what we qualify as like moral or immoral. He was like, oh, we call like doing good noble because it's just associated with people and power, and everything that is like bad, like stealing, is associated with poor people, and that's why society looks down on it. So there's no good or bad. So if that is true, like what would you do in this scenario?
Because like I think a lot of us are saying like, okay, life is meaningless, everything is meaningless, so what gives like morals any meaning? Like if you accept the idea that everything is meaningless, then it also should come with the fact that morals don't like actually exist.
This might be like too easy of an answer, but if I had to say, like, I would say morals only matter because we live in a society.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They don't actually have any like intrinsic weight, just they make things function better.
Yeah, it's kind of like how we have to accept that. Why is she doing this? It's like What was it about?
We morals, living in a society, we have to accept.
Yeah, so like just like how we have to accept that there's no meaning in our lives, but we have to just like carry on and do our little purpose, like we also have to accept that we live in a society where like we will have consequences for our actions, and therefore just like follow the laws
Yeah.
if you don't want to get punished.
But at the same time, I feel like there's so many, I don't know. There's that whole like shopping cart thing. Like no one is going to punish you if you don't put it back in the area it's supposed to go in. And like no one's watching you. Do you put it in where it's supposed to go, or do you leave it in your parking space? Like a lot of people do the right thing even when there's like no consequence or no one watching. Is that just a byproduct of us being indoctrinated so well into society?
I think so, because what drives that action is you don't want to feel guilty, right?
Yeah.
I think. Well, I think I put the shopping cart back every time,
Yeah.
and that's because I feel guilty if I don't do it.
I feel like it's just it's just how things should be, you know? It annoys me whenever people don't do things the way they should be done.
Yeah, and it like makes me mad when people don't put away the shopping cart.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm like, why don't they feel guilty?
I don't know. It's just,
and like we wouldn't feel guilty if nobody told us the rule is you put the shopping cart back where it
Yeah.
belongs, right?
but what about all those like little kids who just do nice things, or even animals? Like,
Give me an example.
like those videos of like mother dogs or something, adopted kittens that were orphaned on the side of the road or something. Like, it's just so nice. But how? Why? Is it biological to act in a way that is moral or kind?
Yeah, I think this all like goes, maybe I'm too pessimistic, but this all goes back to like the whole free will thing. Like none of us have free will anyway. So like who cares if people are nice? That just means they're just doing it because they gotta do it.
Whether it's society or biology,
you're trapped and you're gonna do it.
Yep.
Because I don't know. It's hard to like think these things when you like theorize about it, but then like go on living life as if there is some kind of purpose for you, or like as if you do have free will. Because like I live my life like I can make my own choices.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can.
Yes. I only say I don't have a choice whenever it's like a coping mechanism. So we are too good at that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like being a human is just like the weirdest thing ever, because we are just like too developed in all the wrong ways. So there's like no reason to like read into anything and like think there is some meaning, because I think the default is that there's no meaning, right?
Yeah.
So why would we think anything other than the default, unless, I don't know.
What about like you guys' answers for this question? I feel like I would choose my mother.
Yeah,
every
let's
single
talk
time,
about this.
Because
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So in this like actually happened to one of Sartre's students, I think, or whatever. So like he was posed with like either go into the military, even though to like fight for the cause that they were fighting for, I don't know what it was, or like take care of his sick mother that has like nobody else. So it seems like you can either make this huge difference in your mother's life, or you can make like a little difference in a big cause, right? So the question is like, what is the right decision? Like, what is the correct thing to do? And wait, I also want to just hear what you guys think about this first.
I think it depends on the person. I feel like everyone has their own set of like values that are more important to them than other values, and there's like nothing wrong with that. So for each person, it's like their life and their definition of like success and what they want to do. And so like one person may feel more fulfilled or like feel it's more right to join the military, while another may think it's more right for them to take care of their sick mother.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, I just wanted to know like what you would have done in the situation.
I think I would have taken care of my sick mother.
Yeah, I think I would also.
Yeah. I would just like taking, even not accepting that everything is meaningless, I don't think there is any type of cause that I would willingly like die for or abandon my mother for.
Yeah,
But
I think so too.
if we take it
yeah.
for granted that like everything is meaningless, then yes, you should like definitely not join the military to fight for a cause, because it's all causes are meaningless. But at
Yeah,
the
but
same
your
time, that means
mother
your
is
mother is
also
meaningless.
meaningless.
So, yeah, I don't really know.
I think, yeah, like the point of this question, like in the end, okay, wait, we can go back to that slide. But the point is like there is no correct answer. Like you have to decide for yourself. So like, and you get your morals from yourself. So you just need to like do whatever you think is right, essentially, which is what people are gonna do anyway. But I also wanted to mention though that like I feel like where Sartre and I don't agree is when he's talking about like this whole bad faith thing and like saying that you shouldn't get your morals from something other than yourself, because I don't think it's possible to like not get your morals from a different source. Like your parents raise you in the society you are born into, and that already comes with a bunch of like default morals. Like sure, in theory you can like rebel and like think about something else, but like that's like highly unlikely if you're just like, yeah. So I don't think it's very possible to like get your morals from another source, but I do see why someone might look down on people that like just do whatever the crowd is doing, or like just completely subscribe to like one like thought. Yeah.
Is it like by saying like getting your morals from something other than yourself? Like for this question, would it be like you want to take care of your sick mother, but you like join the military because you would like face judgment otherwise?
It could be. I think like maybe a simpler example might be like you were taught by your religion to not kill no matter what. So you just like don't go to war because like even though you like the cause they're fighting for and like maybe you would want to fight for it, you're just like not going to because you like base all your actions on whatever they told you to do. And I guess that's what Sartre thinks is bad faith. But yeah, it's tricky. I don't know. I think almost that it's like I almost want to just like completely reject the whole bad faith idea, because people have a choice. And it's not like, I don't think anyone is doing anything wrong by acting in bad faith most of the time, because it's just like, what are you going to do if you were born into a family that like goes to church every Sunday? It's pretty likely that you're just going to be like, okay, this is my life now. So, and I don't think it's like fair for us to be like, oh, that is morally wrong because you're not making up your own morals, because you get taught morals in like outside of religious institutions anyway, so it just doesn't seem fair. And also, I think we have no free will, so it doesn't make sense for bad faith to be a thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it doesn't take into account like how actually influenced by other people we are.
Yeah.
Because like whenever you're a child, like you don't even know what you are, and you're still being taught like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, whatever.
Mhm.
So like I feel like you establish morality more than you like faster than or not faster, like sooner than you establish like identity. So
Yeah.
It's also
I don't think we should. I don't think the bad faith argument should be taken seriously. Maybe.
especially because it's so dependent on the individual situation too. Like
Mhm.
I was just thinking like as like in our family, since Angie was born like only a year after I was born, basically our core principle was sharing is caring. Like you guys must share everything you have. But like for other people that might not be like the core moral principle of like their family life or anything.
Mhm. And yeah, this also plays into the whole like moral luck thing.
Mhm.
Like we can't say certain people are immoral for things that like they cannot control.
yeah. Yeah,
But
like, I can't
yeah.
realistically get mad at like an only child for like refusing to share the things I'm used to people having siblings sharing with me, you know?
No, only child, only children bad. But yeah, I think where it gets a little confusing though is like I think people can do immoral things.
Yeah.
But also, can they if they don't have free will? This is where I like don't know what my own thoughts are, because like why would I ever get mad at anyone for doing anything if they can't help it? I clearly don't think that way. I just like think it in theory.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hard to say.
Yeah, like so much of what we like philosophize is like against what our like basic instincts are, or like the way our minds work, just like because that's how it is. Okay. So I don't think it's like, I don't know, doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. It's also wait, what did you just say? Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
I also think like there are so many contradictions and
Mhm.
like we can hold so many different beliefs simultaneously, kind of like
But like we can't.
we can't.
We shouldn't.
Yeah. And I think this like I don't take this to like I take this with a grain of salt because like this kind of shows you the effects of framing on the particular like topic. Like yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm still like caught up on how I can be so Aristotelian but also an existentialist. They seem like pretty incompatible. But yeah, I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. I think there are just like certain things that you have to like, there are like more core beliefs that you have to figure out first, and then like realize that you have to like have it be consistent even with your more less important beliefs. Like with free will or whatever, that's like a very like basic kind of belief. So if you accept that we don't have free will, then like then that should also inform the rest of your your opinions on things. But then where it gets weird is politics. Like we need to think about that kind of stuff. And it's just so yeah.
We know nothing, and it is pointless to try to figure it out. But yeah, can nihilists be happy? I don't know. I used to think they could, but after hearing existentialism, I feel like any happy nihilist is an existentialist.
Yeah. I think that is the conclusion I came to when doing the slides. Like, okay, maybe you can be like a nihilist in theory or something, but like if you're gonna actually act like a nihilist and like implement implement the philosophy in your actual life, it doesn't seem like it would make any sense. It's like, well, you can't do anything.
Plus, it's like, it doesn't have to be some grandiose, like, end of life meaning or whatever. It can just be like short little goals, and I think that can give you a purpose too. That's what makes nihilism even less like feasible.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, how can you get up in the morning without having a specific purpose for your day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's even less plausible than like essentialism.
Mm-hmm.
Because like with essentialism, you can convince yourself that you have a purpose, which allows you to live. But when you're a nihilist, like even whenever you are experiencing like, I don't know, any fulfilling activity, you're gonna be like, oh, this is meaningless, so I shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
But like, is the meaningless like, you can still consider something meaningless and still do it, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's where like the whole optimistic nihilism thing comes from. But like, I think the assumption is like, if you are a nihilist, then it means like you wanted your life to have a purpose and you wanted your actions to have purpose. So when you like finally come to the realization that nothing has meaning, then it's like, oh no, what do I do? I can't do anything. But like, I don't know. It's also kind of there's like another paradox in the fact that like to be a nihilist, you have to like spend a lot of time thinking and doing philosophy, which is also meaningless.
Like Nietzsche published so many things.
Yeah.
And it's like,
dude, that was also pointless. Why'd you do it?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to educate anybody on your ideas?
It just sounds like, it sounds absurd. It makes me think that they're existentialists, you know?
So maybe nihilism doesn't exist.
I think maybe it doesn't also.
Yeah. Because even like, isn't Hitler brought up as like a common example of like a nihilist or something? Even though it's like
Man was passionate. What are you talking about?
Okay, yeah. This is where I get so mad because like everyone is always like, Nietzsche, isn't that the philosopher that Hitler really liked? But like if Hitler was actually a nihilist, he wouldn't be anything like that.
Definitely had a purpose.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely think, I don't know, I want to get, like, actual nihilist's opinion on this, but, like, I don't know. I guess it is kind of compatible to, like, still do things, even if you think they don't have meaning. Because everybody still does mundane things.
Yeah.
But I guess that is also to like serve your purpose in a way. I don't know.
I feel like you can only like live on autopilot for so long. Like,
yeah, that's true.
You've got to make some decisions eventually for some reason.
But like, do you have to? Like, what if you join a cult that just like feeds you and like provides shelter and all that? Like, you can just like chill there.
Your mental faculties will just decay like that.
It's fine. They serve nutritious food.
You sound like the anti-socialism, the anti-socialism propagandists, the ones who were like, oh, people living on welfare, freaking government. They're doing nothing with their lives. They have no purpose.
Sounds like pity.
Oh no.
I think, okay, there is still some merit to like wanting people in society to like do things.
It's better for the people themselves too.
But I don't think like you need to not think that for socialism to be a good idea. Like people can live on welfare and like still be encouraged to like do shit.
Yeah.
But then people have no incentive to do anything.
Okay. I mean, I don't think socialism gets rid of the incentive, really.
It's more like to achieve a socialist society, you need to kind of change the core values so that people don't feel motivated to produce because of profit, but because of like, oh hey, I'm meeting a social need. Like it needs to have some kind of like moral.
It's not even profit. Like the people, it's less about profit and more about just like survival, right?
That's what I'm saying. It needs to be more about like meeting a social need rather than profit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that doesn't work in like larger societies. Like maybe in like very small societies where people can actually be like held accountable to each other.
Well, yes,
But like
most definitely.
Yeah.
More likely.
Yeah. I think Bernie's America can happen without getting rid of the incentives for things.
Yes.
Like easily.
But Bernie's a social democrat. He isn't even a socialist.
That's what I'm saying.
That's totally different.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that has nothing to do
Yep.
with our topic.
My bad.
Okay, so our time is almost up, but like I think we already kind of touched on this.
Yeah.
Like, what does it like boil down to then, like in practice? I think it doesn't change anything.
Yeah. People are just gonna do things regardless of their purpose for doing it.
Yeah, and I think like even if we don't accept that there are morals, I think everyone like even if we had a world where everyone did act on their own like personal morals like Sartre wanted, we would still have people acting like in a way that we might seem as like generally immoral, even if that's even a thing. Like people are still going to do bad things and stuff, even if we accept all these ideas. So I don't know. I don't think people are very motivated by morals. Because like people don't act morally usually. Yeah. I feel like.
Yeah, we don't really, even when people act morally, it's not for the morality's sake. It's just for, this is what my society expects of me. Or, yeah.
It's like the whole guilt thing I was just talking about. Like, it doesn't seem like people act in the interest of other people on purpose.
Yeah, it's also like a lot of golden rule stuff. I think that's why I put the cards back. Like I would want another person to do that for me. So
yeah, I guess I do think about, but like
that is guilt too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I want to put the cards back so somebody else doesn't have to do like more work.
Yeah.
Wait, did you guys talk about the shopping cart theory?
Yeah, I mentioned it a little.
So good.
Yeah, that's definitely all guilt, I think. And I think only like good actions only arise through like what we call like love or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know. I think that is also in a way just selfish.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I
I
feel like love is a pretty interesting topic too. I think we should talk about that.
I think
that
love
someday.
also involves a lot of guilt, even if it's like paternal love or whatever. Like
maternal love.
Or like maternal love. Like you feed your kids because you will be a pretty bad person if you did not.
That's not love.
I don't know
what does love even exist?
Yes, actually I read a whole excerpt from Bell Hooks. I forgot what the book was called.
Anyhow.
And she was talking about love being basically you just like she talks about love as like a verb where it's like you have to consciously like extend part of your, I don't know, like spiritual being to nurture another person.
But like you want to do that.
Yeah, you have to want to. Otherwise,
Yeah, but
You
then
don't-
like, if you want to do it, then you're just serving your own
Yeah.
interests by doing it.
no, you're serving their interest.
But
But
you're
you
serving
want to
your own
serve
interest.
their interests because that's your
And
interest.
that's whenever we talked about the altruism thing, like
Yeah.
It's not your
this
interest.
thing.
What is it? What does it have? What does loving another person do to you? It does nothing.
It makes
It makes
feel
you
good.
happy.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Hey, this pleasure is my only purpose. Okay.
Man, I never said I loved anyone. Don't. I'm just talking about it from Bell Hooks' perspective.
All right.
Okay, well, I don't know. But I don't think like something like has to be selfless to be good.
I feel like love.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Like
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah, you like both people want each other for themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's happily ever after.
Yeah. Okay, so we have nobody here right now that is like not aware of all these things already.
Yeah.
But in case anybody is watching this on YouTube, we only have 2 more meetings left. Next week is human nature and morality. I haven't really thought about like what kind of questions we're going to talk about in that meeting, but I think it will be good. Everyone has something to say about human nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a Netflix party. I think we're probably leaning towards watching the Truman Show, right?
Yeah. Good
Is
memory.
it on Hulu or Netflix?
It was on Netflix for a while, I think. Wait, hold on.
And then the week of the Netflix party is also the day of the suicide prevention walk. So even if you don't come to walk, it would be great if everybody could just like donate $5 even just to the panel team. Because a lot of teams have beat us now. We're like not even on the first page of teams for the UMich donation thing. And then if any of you guys have a topic that you want to suggest for next semester and or you want to lead the discussion for that, then you can fill out this form. I will put those links in the chat.
Truman Show is on Hulu.
Okay, cool. Where did my thing go? So we will be watching the Truman Show.
Sweet.
And here's the link for that form.
Did you stop the recording?
No, not yet.
Okay.
And here's the link for donations. Stop.